I'm going to read for you Lost for 16 Years, our Jamestown story for this week. Within the story, I highlighted 5 of the vocabulary words. They're highlighted in red. You might want to take some time when you get to them and pause the video and think about what the words mean in context. You will have a chance after you listen to the story to go to a Google form, and you will look up the words and write the definitions down, and try and write the definition that goes along with the context of how the word is used in the story. Okay? All right, Lost for 16 years. Patty White Bull checked into the hospital on June 12th, 1983. "I'll see you tomorrow," she told her 9-year-old daughter Cindy. By then, Patty thought she would have given birth to her 4th child. She would be able to show Cindy a brand new brother or sister. Patty and her husband Mark already had 3 children. Besides Cindy, there were 3-year-old Jess and 1-year-old Floris. So while Patty went to the hospital in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Mark cared for the 3 children. That night, he took them to work with him. By the next morning, Mark was eager to join Patty. But first he had to make a quick stop at their house in Edgewood. There, Mark found a note pinned to the door. That was when he learned something had gone wrong. Patty had given birth to a healthy baby boy, but a blood clot had formed. It lodged in her lung. That caused her to stop breathing. Her heart stopped pumping oxygen in her brain. Doctors scrambled to save her. But it took 6 minutes to get her breathing again. By then, she was in a coma. She could not respond to the people around her. She was unconscious. Mark hoped Patty would come out of the coma quickly, but after a few days, her condition had not changed. Sadly, Mark brought Cindy to the hospital to see Patty. Cindy was shocked. She thought of her 27-year-old mother as a beautiful and active woman. Patty White Bull had worked as a model. She had made jewelry and taught yoga, a member of the Pueblo tribe. She had also worked to help other Native Americans. In fact, she had been so upbeat that her nickname was Happy. But now tubes were sticking out of Patty's body. Her eyes were open, but vacant. She did not appear to see anything. She didn't even blink. She could not swallow. So she was being fed through a tube. Her hands were tightly clenched. No part of her body moved. Cindy White Bull was crushed. So was Mark. He asked his mother to care for the new baby named Mark Jr. Mark and the other children spent many nights sleeping in the bathroom of Patty's hospital room. They all wanted to be there if she woke up. But the days passed and Patty did not stir. She was moved to the Las Palmas nursing home. There she remained locked in what doctors called a semi-vegetative state. For 2 years, Mark visited her almost every day. Sometimes I would try to talk her into waking up, he said. I'd say, "You're by a stream now. We're sitting together. You're really tired, but you need to wake up now. The kids need you. I need you." All right, semi-vegetative state. It's not one of the vocabulary words, but if you're not sure what it means, I would stop and look it up. Dictionary.com. You can look up vegetative state, semi meaning partial, so you can kind of learn what that means. And you can probably get that, some of the definition by the context, the words around it. It didn't work. By 1985, Patty still showed no sign of improvement. Finally, Mark had decided to move on with his life. He asked the courts to grant him a divorce. Then he moved to South Dakota. There, his mother could help him raise his children. It was hard for everyone to leave Patty behind, but the doctors said that she wouldn't know the difference. She could not hear them. she could not see them. Doctors expected her to spend the rest of her life in a catatonic state. As the years passed, Mark White Bull struggled to forget Patty. He married and divorced 2 more times. Meanwhile, Cindy and her siblings grew up. In 1989, Cindy joined the Marines. By 1999, she was married and had children of her own. Jess was in college. Flores and Mark Jr. were teenagers. None of them thought they would ever see their mother awake again. But 4 days before Christmas, an amazing thing happened. A nurse's aide was fixing the sheets on Patty's bed when all at once Patty spoke. "Don't do that," she exclaimed. No one at the nursing home could believe it. After 16 years, Patty White Bull had woken up. Within hours, Patty was on the phone to her mother. Her voice was shaky but clear. "Merry Christmas, Mom," she said. It took a while to reach the rest of her family. When Mark White Bull heard the news, he quickly made plans to drive to New Mexico. Jess, Flores, and Mark Jr. went with him. Cindy was away on vacation, but when she heard what had happened, she too left for New Mexico. By Christmas morning, Patty was able to dress herself. With a little help, she could take a few steps. Later that week, when Cindy arrived, Patty held out her arms for a hug. "Her face was lit up," said Cindy. When Mark Jr. arrived, Patty murmured, "Junior." It was the first time he had ever heard her voice. Patty's muscles and vocal cords were very weak. In addition, she showed some signs of brain damage. She needed to learn many things all over again. She couldn't brush her hair or wash her hands by herself. Still, it was astounding to see what she could do. Within a couple of weeks, she took her first bite of pizza. She tried on some lipstick. Best of all, she gave all of her children big hugs. Dr. Elliot Marcus was in charge of Patty's case. "I cannot come up with a medical explanation," he said. "I have never seen anything like this." Other doctors said the same thing. "It really is quite amazing," said one. Another simply called it absolutely extraordinary. To this day, no one knows what caused Patty White Bull to wake up, but some doctors have a theory. In December 1999, the flu was going around Patty's nursing home. To protect the patients, doctors gave out a flu medicine. It was called Amatadine. Patty White Bull was given some of it. Perhaps this medicine somehow triggered her recovery. Once Patty woke up, doctors kept giving her Amatadine. They feared that without it, she would go downhill. Even with it, they were not sure what her future held. They warned the family that she could slip back into a coma at any time. But the family was happy just to take one day at a time. As Patty's son Jess said, "Every moment with her is a special moment for me and my brothers and sisters. It's something we never had. When you find it, you want to hold it as long as you can." So I was thinking about the story, and it's from 1983 to about 1999 that she's in the coma. And I'm thinking about all the technology. That was when I was in high school, graduated from high school, went to college, got married. A lot happened in that 16 years. And within that time, a lot of technology happened. In 1983, didn't have a cell phone, didn't have a smartphone, didn't have anything. But by 1999, I did. And so you listen to the story, and understanding the context makes it more interesting. I think about why a note was pinned on the door, and why wasn't he called? Well, he was at work and he didn't have a cell phone, and And so he had to wait to go home to see the note on the door and find out that his wife was not doing so well. So interesting things in terms of technology and knowing the context and the setting of a story helps us to understand it. All right, there is a Google form with the five words that I highlighted. You will be defining them and try and define them in the context of how they were in the story. They will be tested on when we're done with this.